question in this section, then there'll be a short break, which Elizabeth will deal with. The question is this: with disillusion at an all-time high, what will you bring to the table as our MP that will ensure people in this constituency feel valued and listened to by the government? The order is Sharma, Pfizer, Josh, Paul and Ian.
This question, above all else, really kind of affects how I work. I've been a councillor for 10 years, and I came into this on the back of seeing what the Tories were doing to education, on the back of my husband's experience in the NHS and my mum's most recent experience with mental health issues, my own mental health issues. And I want to believe every day that politics can transform people's lives, because I've seen it through history. I'm a history teacher. I've seen how politics absolutely can change lives. But in order to do that, we have to be trusted on what we say. We're going to do what we say we're going to do. Now, there's been comments made about Labour manifesto not being ambitious enough or not having a voice enough. The reality is that everyone I've spoken to wants to believe that we can do better in our country. But they want to believe that the government that says they're going to say, what this government's going to say is actually going to be achieved. And that's what our Labour manifesto will do. Keir has been very, very clear, Rachel's been very, very clear that we cannot promise anything like we did in 2019, because that manifesto wasn't for public, it wasn't achievable, it was for us as a Labour Party. That manifesto was never going to be achieved. This manifesto will be achieved. Judge us in 5 years if we haven't achieved 13,000 police officers, 6,500 teachers in your classroom, more economic stability, GB energy. If we haven't achieved that, fair enough. But we are making achievable goals, because actually the first and foremost of any government is to rebuild trust in our system. And I do this not because I want to be a media star or go on telly. I do this because I actually love what I do. I actually believe in the power of politics to change something. My daughter is 15, and you have many people here who've got young children. We need them to believe in our society, in our community, and the power of politics. And we need to be modelling that as well.
I've spent the last 2 years knocking on doors again, and the number one thing I hear is that despondency, is that disillusionment, especially amongst young people. They think that it doesn't matter who their politician is. They feel that the party political system, it's all the same. And having these conversations, I've gone into schools, them knowing that I was them once. That means something to them. They know they're going to see me. They see me on the bus. They see me around. People, it's a different type of politics. That's what's on the ballot paper here. The ballot paper here is not going to decide whether we have a Labour government. We're going to have a Labour government. It's going to happen. The ballot paper here, and where you put your cross, will decide whether you give hope to those people that feel the current political system is failing them. And there are so many of them. It will give hope to those people that think, okay, she's one of us. She can represent us. It will give hope to those people. And so when we talk about disillusionment, we've got to understand that there are solutions, but the solutions aren't typical. We have to show something new. We have to have faith. We have to show that there is hope for something different. Because right now, our party political system is completely failing. We need proportional representation. We need a new system. Who is going to argue for that? Not anyone not in the two major parties, but I will argue for that. Thank you.
Thanks for this question. I think this is an area where Chingford and Wilford Green has inadvertently become a little bit of a microcosm for the country as a whole. On the right, we have a Conservative Party that has long since run out of ideas, run out of energy, and is struggling to fight off an insurgency by a populist wing that it stoked and courted but now finds that it can't control. Meanwhile, you have a left which isn't even in power yet and is already giving in to its worst urges when it comes to infighting, purging its enemies, circular firing squad, jockeying for position. And then you've got the Liberal Democrats, who are maybe a little bit more boring, maybe not doing the soap opera stuff, but what we're doing quietly is getting on with the business of talking about policy. Now, maybe it's not going to command the 24-hour news cycle in the same way. Maybe we need our leader to fall off a boogie board in order to make a news headline. But I believe in my heart of hearts that if we get politics back to a place where it's much less about the drama, about the soap opera storylines, and it's much more just talking about doing the things that matter to people, doing the things that will actually change their lives, talking about restoring their hospitals, talking about bringing care back into their community, then that's the thing that's going to encourage them. We don't need more snappy slogans. We don't need more, big 12-point font headlines. What we just need is a commitment to good policy and good delivery, and that's what I'll do.
I think there are two levels to what we think of as politicians at times. Number one is what goes on in Westminster. Number two is what we see on the ground here in this constituency and elsewhere. I do genuinely believe the most important feature of what we do is here in this community. We act as an ombudsman, chasing things that didn't get done, hounding where health treatment wasn't given, sorting out problems with housing with the council. That's what we do here as MPs, and that bit is critical. I'm really, really proud to have represented this constituency, and I make it an absolute priority always that what comes first is what's needed. It's not just the big things, it's the little things that appear little. The 505 bus, for example, I cannot tell you how many times I've been asked, why is there no bus link that goes all the way down like there always was on the western side of the constituency? The eastern side has trains, but the west has no communication all the way down through London. Now that may be a small thing, but it's a big thing if you're infirm, you're elderly, and you've relied on that link in transport. So I've always dedicated myself, and I will continue to dedicate myself to this constituency and to be with those people who need my help. National politics, I fight anybody if I think that what they're doing is unjust, uncivil or wrong. I've done that with China, I will do that with anybody here in the UK, Conservative or Labour. That is the position that gets people back to respect you, not charging around playing games as we've seen too often nationally.
So, what will we do to get rid of this illusion of politics? Honesty. That's what it needs, honesty. Be honest with your constituents. And they can be honest with you. Help them in any way you can. Listen to what they have to say and act on what they have to say. That's what we will bring, or I will bring, if elected to this constituency. I'm not as eloquent as these people here. They've had years of practice. I haven't. And the reason I got into this is because I was sick and tired of the dishonest and the lies and the way that the British public were treated as fools. And whichever way you look at it, if you look at it honestly, you can see that. Through the COVID crisis, where we had to do as we were told, yet the parties was going on still. This is what I think should stop disillusionment, is being honest with the people that you are representing, because you are working, or we are working for you, not the other way around.